So, right, so first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakakadash. We say double and say apostle and elect great most and rule our teachers, our apostles in truth, and we say salutations so they are coming to the push with truth and sincerity, day in and day out, and constantly in season, we say shalom. And once again, going into a video here, and let's touch on upon, to remember what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. Right now, this comes off the topic. This to the spirit was just watching what was taking place this week. For a couple of days that these Moors was celebrating their month, right? And they were parading through the streets. That certain days they were parading through the streets, and whole time on the news, as you can see right here, whole time on the news, they were showing it now on this page here, right? They had it one or two times, right, as you can see here, but on the other pages, on the actual news pages, and on other sites, it was consistently being posted, right? And we know what it is they're actually pushing and why they're pushing it like this, right? But while they're pushing it and putting it to the forefront, the scriptures mention that to remember what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. So let's go to the scripture. This is the book of 2 Peter chapter 2, and I'll go read from verse 2 Peter chapter 2, and I'll read from verse 5. Let me read from verse 6. Right? They say, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly. Now, when you look at the word ends, let me get the word here one time. Right. Why am I not getting it? Right. So this is the
example.
Right? Example, right? It says, why they didn't give me it means an example. It means an example, a pattern, or a model to copy, right? So example. So is this basically an example, right? And remembering what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah, as I say, Sodom and Gomorrah is an example unto us. As the scriptures say, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly. So there's the example that what happened there should be an example unto you for what happened to those that live ungodly, and what will happen to those that are going to live ungodly or will live ungodly. And we're seeing that destruction being built up, and we know that destruction going to happen, and as I say, an example what was taking place. Now, what kind of stuff they're doing today, right? They have them parading on the streets. They had them on TV. The kids outside there taking part in these kind of stuff, right? The whole thing about this, like, they talk about pride, and pride going what before a fall, right? Matter of fact, let me get a quick pride. This is the book of Proverbs chapter 16 verse 18. It says pride go before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall, right? So when you read and you hear these things, like all this stuff that they're doing in these celebrations is totally wrong. It goes against the Lord, right? There are people that would see these things and I know they would say, God say don't judge, or they would say love is love. There's the kind of statements that they usually make to make excuses for these wickedness to continue. But Sodom and Gomorrah is an example, right, of what happened to those that live ungodly and what's going to happen to those that live ungodly. To know that you're not supposed to be living like that or taking part in those things. In these churches, they actually take part in these festivities. They would tell you not to speak out against it. They even doing the marriages and so on, right? But again, the example that was set forth for us, right? So going back to the Second Peter, as it said, in the verse, right? As it say, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly. Because let's go now to the book. Let me go now to Second Ezra chapter 2 verse 8, and hear how it was written, how it was used as an example, right? It say, even it was used there, but let me show you something. It says this book of Second Ezra chapter 2, and let me read verse 8. I'm going straight to the point. It says, woe be unto thee, Asa, thou that hidest the unrighteous in thee. It say, O thou wicked people, remember what I did unto Sodom and Gomorrah. Remember that. That is why even to this day, right? Now, even though you don't hear it as much as before, right? But I remember growing up. And hearing your parents saying, your uncle or whoever, you hearing the older generation telling you, hey, them shit they're trying to promote, Sodom and Gomorrah burn. The Benjamites have songs about it. They sing about it, right? No, there's certain words they use that I know for sure that if I go to use it in this video, the video will be flagged. It might be removed. All these things. Page might get block all kind of stuff, right? But this just goes to show how it is be used as an example of why you shouldn't commit these acts, why you shouldn't be doing these things, because of the destruction that took place back then, right? So that way, even in the Second Ezra saying in 2 verse 8, say what? Oh, the wicked people, remember what I did unto Sodom and Gomorrah. Remember it. That is why that was saying today. It is again. You mightn't hear it as much, but even to this day, you just hear Jake saying it. There's be using it as an example. Hey, Babylon go burn. You just see them saying that Babylon go burn because of they like Sodom and Gomorrah. You see them saying it, and who they talking about America? Because again, we feel all these Jakes gain the power to do these things, coming from Esau Edom, right? America passed the law, Trinidad passed the law, It say whose land, verse 9 in the Second Ezra chapter 2 verse 9, it say whose land lieth in clouds of pitch and heaps of ashes, right? Ashes. Go and look up, if you go and type in Sodom and Gomorrah today, just watch the type of example, just watch the videos given about that particular place, right? That's what it said, undwellable. It say whose land lieth in clouds of pitch and heaps of ashes. Even so will I do unto them that hear me not, said the Almighty Lord. And that is what the Lord is saying. For them that live ungodly, for them that, as it say, that hear me not, that is what the Lord going to do unto them. That is the reason why we use it as an example. That is the reason why is one of the examples that Jake used even to this day of what took place in Sodom and Gomorrah. So what if it going to happen to these same people here that taking part in these things? You feel it's just going to happen? You feel it's just going to continue as is? Now, if you watch the video, I didn't want to show the full context of the video because I don't know what's going to happen, right? YouTube and the stuff. But go and look it up, and you would see the heathen, these Elamites and all of them inside of there with Jake. It had the the Venezuelans who left Venezuela due to whatever situation going on across there, and they came straight across here to do what they continue the wickedness. And that is again that example. You all feel you're escaping the judgment? No. That would the Lord say, what? Even so also I will do unto them that hear me not, said the Almighty Lord. That example is a powerful example that was given. Yeah, that is why one of the reasons why it referenced so much. These acts, these things being done. And the Lord says, judgment gonna be great. Right? Now jump into another scripture. And I'm going to go to the book of Jude. Jude chapter 1, and I'll read verse 7. It says, even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example. It's set forth for what? An example, right? Suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. So he set forth an example unto us. Why we not supposed to be partaking in these things? Why we not supposed to agree with these things? Right? It set forth an example unto us. Right? Now, let me just get this a quick when you look at the word example on Google, right? They say an example is a single thing. It says a single thing, person or event that shows that what a whole group or rule is like, right? It's an example. It's the meaning of example is a person or way of behaving that serves as a pattern to be imitated or not to be imitated, right? Or not to be imitated. And Sodom and Gomorrah being an example of what? To not be imitated. Things that you're not supposed to be doing, right? And it's straight to the point. It have no gain or wrong it. Right? So that is the scripture say, even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth an example. An example what? To not be imitated, to not follow, to not take that particular pattern for what that judgment was given unto them. Right? It says suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Right? And that is where it is. Now we see them today. We know we live in a very wicked kingdom. So wickedness would what? Exceed. You see, the earth is given to the hands of the wicked, right? And this is the kind of things that they would push. If the wicked ruling, what they expect the wicked to do? Good? No, the wicked could only do but what? Wickedly, right? Daniel chapter 12, verse 10, right? It says, many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. So what the scripture say? But the wicked shall do wickedly, because that is all they could do. What are you expecting the wicked to do? Good? No. But things are set forth for the wicked. You understand? The scriptures mention the things created to come upon them that sin, that do wickedness. Right? And it ain't gonna be nice. Right? So the scriptures say the earth is given to the hands of the wicked. What they feel the wicked going to promote, what it is they feel going and the laws they're going to pass. If they're going to be after the law, no, it will obviously be against. You understand? But again, that example given unto us of things that we're not supposed to be doing, right? And judgment is soon coming to this place, man. This, if you watch a glimpse, I just want to show it, but hey, man, this place really had to be cleansed. Man, this place is full of wickedness, corruption, all these things, right? So hey, once again, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashemi, or Shai, Ba'ashem, Kakadash. We say that when our apostle and elders agree, Muslim rule, but our teachers are apostles in truth, and we say salutations, so the act say push on truth and sincerity, day in and day out, and constantly in season and season, we say Shalom.